If you're a writer and you find that you can't imagine a better world than this, maybe it's time for you to put down your pen. I know I'm very late to the game, but given my history with comic book writer Mark Waid, he called me a borderline white supremacist even though I'm black, I feel like I'd be doing a disservice to not comment on his response to the election. So, I will set aside that Waid must have preemptively confused me with self-professed black Nazi Mark Robinson, and let King Baby explain what's got him in such a tizzy. For the record, Waid posted this on Blue Sky at 1 in the morning after the election. He says, quote,
"Even if by some miracle this turns around, I don't believe in the basic goodness of my fellow Americans anymore. And without this, I can't write superheroes."
Why? What does that have to do with writing superheroes? Superhero stories aren't about the basic goodness of people, let alone Americans. Superheroes represent what people can become, the goodness we can achieve if we overcome our flaws and live up to our standards. They're an ideal of hope, if you will. That's why their stories are usually set in worlds where there's a lack of basic goodness. That's why they need superheroes, to inspire, to show that there are better worlds than this. When things get this bad, it's the perfect time for superhero stories. People need something to show them that it doesn't have to be like this. And look, I get it. I'm not happy that 49.9% of voters re-elected their dear leader, and I'm not looking forward to his cabinet of spies, sex pests, and sycophants. However, I saw this movie back in 2004 when the same people gave President Dumbass a second term, and as usual, the remake is worse than the original, and this is just a trailer. The full film hasn't even dropped yet, and I'm sure that, just like before, those people who demanded it are gonna be pissed when they get exactly what they voted for. But when I think about that time, it wasn't all bad. We got some of the best movies, TV shows, games, comics, and music during that time. Creative people stepped up and poured their frustration into their art. This is nothing new. During the insanity of the 60s, we got Star Trek and the greatest decade of music in modern history. During the 80s and the travails of Reaganomics, we got the best decade of comic books and some of the best films and TV shows ever made. The desire for things to be better or the need to just vent can be a powerful motivator. So when Waid says, quote,
"There's no point,"
yes, there is. The whole point of superhero stories is to inspire hope where there is none, to imagine a better world. That's literally your job. So if you find that you can't do it, that you can't imagine something better than this, maybe it's time for you to put down your pen. Or you could rise to the challenge and write something engaging and entertaining and introspective. Comic book creators have the rare opportunity of a second chance. They have another chance to tell stories built around the insanity and chaos Trump creates. And this time, they can do it without flipping out. There are so many stories that they can write about today's world. The political divide, the tribalism, the anger, the fear, the hatred. There are so many stories that comic book creators could weave into the superhero genre. This is what science fiction is for. So rise to the challenge, Mark Waid, and tell the stories people need to see and hear. And if you feel like you can't put a happy spin on it, don't. Some of the greatest superhero stories are about heroes struggling to fight and find hope in a world full of despair. People like Watchmen and The Dark Knight Returns for a reason, although I think you comic book guys have worn those out, so you might want to lean into something more like Akira or Fists of the North Star. Either way, there's plenty for a superhero story to address. And maybe this time, try not bludgeoning people over the head with your politics. You can still have politics in the stories, that's what would make them current and relevant, but focus on the characters and themes and plot. Get those in working order and trust that the story will take care of the politics, because then we'll see them in context as we follow the characters' experiences, not by the creator telling us what views to hold and scolding us when we disagree. Like I said, 20 years ago we got some of the best movies, TV shows, games, music, and comics, and many of them focused on the politics of the day and were awesome. You now have the chance to do it again. Rise to the occasion. Of course, we are talking about Mark Waid, so if he starts to sound reasonable or, dare I say, sympathetic, King Baby will quickly come out to remedy that. Quote,
"When you see a decline in the quality of my work soon, you'll be able to trace it back to this night."
Sorry, could you say that again? I couldn't hear you with that pity dick in your mouth. Bruh, ain't you writing 3 or 4 books right now? So, you gonna quit your job because of the election and fuck over the artists and colorists and letterers on the books? Cause you mad? Dude, you might have enough money to quit work for a while, but I'm pretty sure your colleagues don't. What a douche move. Now, it has been 3 weeks since he posted this, so maybe after Waid got done crying in the shower, he realized that this was a stupid plan and didn't do it, but it's still douchey to even suggest that he would. You are a grown-ass man. Act like it. You don't have to like the election results, but that doesn't mean you get to fuck over your colleagues. That's the other half of the country's job. That's why they voted for their dear leader. They don't need your help. They got it covered. Fortunately, Waid was the only person I saw react like this. Other creators across different mediums were significantly less unhinged than they were in 2016, and that's a rare positive in this situation. If they channel their anger and frustration and disappointment into their work, they could make some of the best entertainment we've had in years. If they can resist the urge to stand on that soapbox again, we'll be in for a treat. And if they can enhance their calm and be patient and wait, they will be witness to the greatest instance of fuck around and find out since the American Civil War. And won't that be a story to tell? But what do I know? I'm just some guy.